He had, however, recently been arrested on rape charges for which he was on bail at the time of the attack. Investigators believe the attacker was influenced by extreme Islamist ideology, evident in a 999 call that he made during the incident in which he pledged allegiance to Islamic State.
Welcome to the first statement. I call the Home Secretary.
Thank you very much. With permission, Mr. Speaker, I will make a statement on the terrorist attack on the 2nd of October and the action this government is taking in response.
It is Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, and an appalling attack on a synagogue in Crumpsall, just north of Manchester. 5 bystanders badly hurt, the attacker shot, now believed to be dead. Just off camera, this footage shows some of his victims lying prone on the ground. 2 of them are now known to have died.
May I start by calling this attack what it was, an evil act of anti-Semitic terrorism that targeted innocent worshippers on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, and that was carried out by a terrorist pledging his allegiance to the warped ideology of Islamism. Let me pay tribute to the 2 men who were killed that day, Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dolby. Their bravery saved countless lives. On behalf of the whole House, I would like to offer my deepest sympathies to their families and their friends. May their memory be a blessing. Yeah. A further 3 men were seriously injured in the attack. I know all of our thoughts are with them, alongside all those who are caught up in these terrible events. I would like to also thank those whose bravery saved lives: worshippers, staff and volunteers from the Community Security Trust, and the emergency services who acted with speed and the utmost professionalism. This is a moment of profound national sorrow. An attack on our Jewish community is an attack on this entire nation. And it calls on us to assert once more our determination to tackle extremism, anti-Semitism, and hatred wherever it appears. Mr. Speaker, while the events of that day are painful to recount, it is important that we do. On the morning of Thursday, the 2nd of October, a terrorist drove a car at worshippers outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in Crumpsall, Manchester. The driver then left his vehicle, armed with a knife, and resumed his attack. He was wearing what was later determined to be a fake explosive device, though it should be remembered that all present had every reason to believe that bomb was real. When the first call came into the emergency services, Greater Manchester Police declared a major incident and firearms officers were deployed. Within 7 minutes of that call, the attacker had been intercepted and shot dead. Melvin Kravitz was killed by the attacker. Tragically, initial findings now indicate that Adrian Dolby sustained a gunshot wound during the armed police response. As is standard in such cases, an investigation is being carried out by the Independent Office of Police Conduct, the IOPC. But there are 2 things I can say. Firstly, it is important to note that the IOPC has confirmed the officers involved in the response are being treated as witnesses. Secondly, it must be remembered that the police acted in a situation where they believed a terrorist was likely to detonate an explosive device. The necessary processes must now take their course, and I expect the IOPC to complete them as quickly as possible. Mr. Speaker, there is no ambiguity around who is responsible for the deaths and injuries that took place on that day. Members will be aware that the attack was carried out by Jihad al-Shami, a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent. We know he came to this country as a child and was registered as a British citizen while still a minor. He was never referred to the PREVENT programme, nor was he known to counter-terrorism policing or the security services. He had, however, recently been arrested on rape charges for which he was on bail at the time of the attack. Investigators believe the attacker was influenced by extreme Islamist ideology, evident in a 999 call that he made during the incident in which he pledged allegiance to Islamic State. 6 people were arrested following the attack and were released without charge. 1 was subsequently rearrested and has been bailed. I know that there are many questions that the public rightly demand answers to, as do members of this House, and those answers will come. But for now, the investigation is ongoing, and we must allow that work to take its course. We do know that voices in the Jewish community had long been warning that this day would come, and that Jews who had long felt safe in this country, in their country, now no longer do. Now this awful day has come to pass, we must learn from it so that we do everything within our power to ensure it does not happen again. Our immediate priority was to enhance security. Visible officer patrols have been stepped up at synagogues and other sites in Manchester and across the country. Additional support has been made available to more than 500 locations. And while there have been long-standing security arrangements in place with £18 million of funding each year for the Community Security Trust, it is clear that more must be done. We will provide our Jewish community with the protection they deserve, because no one should be forced to live a smaller Jewish life in their country because of the events of October the 2nd. Mr. Speaker, our posture at religious sites is one of maximum vigilance. That applies to the Jewish community, and it also applies to British Muslims. I know members across the House will have been disturbed by a suspected arson attack that took place at a mosque in Peacehaven in East Sussex last week. The policing minister visited the mosque and met those forced to flee for their lives in terrifying circumstances, and we have discussed this with my honourable friend, the member for Brighton, Kemp Town and Peacehaven, who I know also visited the mosque on Friday. Let me be clear. Violence directed at any community, be they Jewish or Muslim, of all faiths or none, are attacks on our entire country. I know this country is united in our condemnation of those who seek to divide us, because one of the greatest achievements of this country has been our tolerance, our ability to accept and embrace difference, our generosity towards those who may not look the same, but are encompassed comfortably within a single national identity. It was for that reason that I was so affronted by the protests that took place in the days after the attack. These were a clear source of fear to the Jewish community, grieving just days after an unspeakable tragedy. The same was true on the anniversary of the October the 7th attacks. I described those protests as un-British, and I stand by that. Because those protesters showed none of the generosity of spirit that I love about this country, and they most certainly did their cause no good whatsoever. The right to protest is a fundamental freedom, but it must be balanced against the right the public has to their safety and their security. In my conversations with community leaders and the police in recent days, it is clear that balance has not been struck. For that reason, I can confirm to the House today that we will amend sections 12 and 14 of the Public Order Act 1986. The police will be able to take account of the cumulative impact of frequent protests when considering whether to impose conditions. This will mean that protests that follow the same routes, time and again, can be forced to change their route or the time of a protest. I'm also reviewing all existing legislation to ensure our public order powers are fit for purpose and are being consistently applied. The right to protest must and will be protected. But of all the freedoms we enjoy, none is more precious than the right to live in safety. Mr. Speaker, the government's first responsibility is to keep the public safe. Since 2017, the security service and the police have disrupted more than 40 plots. This work has saved countless lives. Through our counter-terrorism strategy contest, we continue to tackle threats to this country. including those posed by Islamist terrorism, which remains our primary domestic threat, about the security that we provide to our Jewish community, about how we address a rising tide of anti-Semitism, about how we bring communities together rather than allowing some individuals to separate off into dark corners, including how we tackle the continuing threat of Islamist extremism and those who are pulled towards its warped ideology.
All right, she says something very, very accurate, that the primary domestic threat they have is Islamic terrorists or Islamic extremists. But when we say Islamic extremists, it looks like some part of Islam are extremists or terrorists, while some part are not. But that is not so, because so long as Islam is concerned, Islam is a terrorist organization, because the books they follow, Quran and Hadith, commanded Muslims to terrorize non-Muslims, to fight until the whole world become Muslims. And Islam, for you, they keep saying, is not there to coexist. Islam is not there to coexist with any other religion, but to dominate and to wipe away all other religions and to become supreme. Well, I heard her say that the greatest achievement they have ever made is tolerance. That's good. It is great. You want to tolerate others. But the question is, are they all willing to tolerate one another and coexist? If other religions, organizations and people are willing to tolerate one another and coexist, what about Islam? Is Islam willing to tolerate others and coexist? You want to be politically correct by tolerating all. You want to keep something that will destroy you. The only solution is to kick Islam and Sharia out of your country. Because Islam itself has said that it has not come to coexist, to tolerate anyone, but to wipe away other religions, to stand alone, to reign supreme.
We don't say that Islam is here to live, to coexist with lots of different religions and all of us can just hold hands and be friends. This religion was sent to dominate the world. It was sent to be superior, to extinguish the light of every other religion and to be superior to it. But we're not shy to say it, and we don't find that to be something that we should be shy to say. That this religion has been sent to dominate, to wipe out, to take out every other religion, to eclipse it, to be superior to it, to have the people leave every religion and to accept Islam. And if that requires fighting to achieve it, then it requires fighting to achieve it. Because the greatest purpose for which jihad was legislated is to make the word of Allah the highest and the word of those who disbelieve the lowest.
So, to keep peace in your country, anyone, any organization, religion or people that will not tolerate or coexist, kick them away. For peace, kick them away.
How could God take Israel out of Egypt for 400 years, bring them into the Canaan land, then rise a new religion to say, kill Jews and Christians wherever you find them? Is that the actions of a holy God? Why would God make a covenant with his people, then kill them in the end? And he has a promise that he'll bless these people because of the covenant he make with their fathers. The whole world is because of Israel. The whole world message of hope is because of Paul. The whole world message is because of Christ. God chose people to represent him on earth. You don't want to be judged by God. The Bible said, for the wrath of God is in Christ. This same boy in a manger who died on the cross is coming back again to show to them who scarred him with vengeance. You don't want, the Bible said, woe be unto the world. And the Bible said, in those days, death itself shall flee from man. Can you imagine? Death itself shall flee from you. In those days, men shall seek of God and can't find him. It's the first time in human history you see so many people going to church, but there'll be no more pastors. It's the first time in history you hear people cry out so much. That's the only time if you want a free Lamborghini, you could get it. Because that's the only time nothing matters anymore. It's done. Have you guys ever seen the story of Noah? Have you guys ever know what happened in Sodom? When God told Lot to leave, Lot cried in his heart. The Bible said fire came down out of heaven and devoured the whole earth. where they were. There were women giving into birth. Children were there. Is that the same God of the Old Testament? Or we transfer him into this God of the New Testament is just grace, grace, grace without mercy, without judgment and wrath. Be ye careful.
My dear Muslims, you can see this is the reason why Christians are not out there to fight any person, to fight to convert you and bring you to Christ. Because knowing the terror of his judgment, knowing that the same Jesus who came as a lamb that was slain for our sin is coming back as the Lion King to judge the world, knowing the terror of his judgment, all of us should live in sober and in fear of that day. Well, when I see you out there making noise that you are fighting for Allah, I understand. I understand that you don't know what the judgment day look like. Come to Christ. The terror of the judgment day will make you to live sober, in fear of that day, and live holy and righteously, rather than shedding the blood of your fellow humans for Satan in the name of Allah. If you know the terror of that day, the terror of God's judgment, you will not dare to take another person's life. You be afraid yourself, whether you're doing it right or not, for that day's sake.